If we'd have launched a Bitcoin ETF last October, there'd have been nobody buying it, right? So price needs to be positive and rising for people to want to buy it. And we haven't seen that yet, not enough. So really, if they launch it tomorrow, could you attract $1 billion of RA assets? Fine, but the government and FTX are selling more than that and stuff. What we really need is, let's say Bitcoin's trading at 40,000, looking strong. You launch an ETF.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Raoul Pal discuss about Bitcoin and crypto. Raoul Pal says a lot of people are convinced that the SEC will hold off until March at the earliest. I doubt it, but who knows? Now I frequently discuss how if we had launched a Bitcoin ETF last year in October, nobody would have bought it. Instead, the price needs to be positive and rising for people to want to buy it. We haven't seen that yet. So really, if they launch it tomorrow, you could draw in $1 billion worth of RA assets. We'll look back and say, bloody hell, there's a lot of money in that ETF. What do you think about these recent SEC's losses that they've been taking against crypto companies? You have to be pretty brave to enter the cryptocurrency market because it is populated by ludicrously smart individuals. These individuals represent the best of finance and technology. They also have a mission. As a result, lawyers will enter the picture and lots of things Raoul Pal discuss, so please watch the video to end and share. Subscribe our channel, Everyday Finance. Thanks.
I don't think there's insider selling into the news. I think, again, if we look at all of those, the Ripple case or the launch of the ETFs or the ETH futures ETF, none of those have been launched. So there's no actual new money coming in. So if you think of it as an economy, we're just still messing around with the same money in the economy. And a lot of those assets have gone down, like NFTs, stuff like that. So we're still waiting for more investment to come in. So what we've done is sowed the seeds for the new investment, but the space hasn't got much capital to put in. Everyone's kind of fully invested in the space. We kind of know the story. Yes, a bunch of people have stable coins and are sitting on cash, but generally speaking, we need new investors, and none of that's happened yet. So then if we step back and say, well, who's the seller? And we know that the government have been selling the Mt. Gox stuff. We know that the FTX stuff has to come onto market. So really, it's a supply issue right now. It's a promise of future demand, but we haven't got it. So the market has to deal with all this supply. So my guess is it's probably before the market expects, because I think a lot of people are resigned to the SEC will wait until March, the absolute latest. I doubt it, but who knows? Now, I talk about this a lot. If we'd have launched a Bitcoin ETF last October, there'd have been nobody buying it, right? So price needs to be positive and rising for people to want to buy it. And we haven't seen that yet, not enough. So really, if they launch it tomorrow, could you attract $1 billion of RA assets? Fine, but the government and FTX are selling more than that and stuff. What we really need is, let's say Bitcoin's trading at 40,000, looking strong. You launch an ETF. Okay, then we're talking, well, maybe 5 billion comes into the space. And if it goes up, then you get to 10 billion. And before you know it, it's real money into the space, fresh capital. But right now, it's not the biggest deal, but it will be as an on-ramp when the market picks up. When we're in crypto summer, we'll look back and go, bloody hell, there's a lot of money in that ETF. You've got to be pretty brave to take on the crypto space, because if you actually look at it, it is ludicrously smart people. It's kind of the best of finance, the best of technology. You've got people with a mission. So you've got super, super smart people who are mission driven. So lawyers will go into the space to prove a point. Everybody will prove a point, and people will fight to the death that they can afford to. Coinbase, Ripple, Grayscale, everybody. So as the SEC, you are not taking on some little small token, some small project. You're taking on kind of the best of the best here. The space is very smart and very driven. So it doesn't surprise me they've taken the losses, because these people aren't stupid. That's why the Uniswap thing came through as well. I mean, it's like, well, people built Uniswap. Very, very smart people built it. So it is decentralized and there is nobody to sue. That's the whole point of DeFi. So the point being is a lot of this stuff has been thought about in advance. So it makes me very optimistic of how many losses the SEC will take versus wins. They get wins against people who don't want to fight, like Kraken. They just don't have the money to fight them. But Coinbase is just going to fight them to the death. And that's what Brad Garlinghouse did too. And, you know, good on these people, because somebody had to prove it through the courts and not via coercion. Well, it's only a shoe to drop if we don't know about it. Right, I don't think there's anybody alive in crypto that doesn't think Binance is a complex situation that could fall one of two ways. They could end up just being the dominant player outside of Europe and the US, or they could up in a world of shit. We don't know, right? There's no visibility in Binance. So it's no black swan. So if something happened to Binance, really major happened to Binance, the Binance token collapses and Binance economic model collapses, you've got to ask yourself, okay, what would that do to price? Yeah, it'd be bad. How fast will it recover? Well, better, because you've cleaned up one of the biggest issues in the space, because people don't know the uncertainty. I don't know either way whether Binance is good or bad, but it's the lack of transparency. So I think overall it's just not the major shock. The other thing I would ask of Binance is, look, in a very geopolitical world, who's the underlying supporter of Binance? It's probably the Chinese state. Who's the underlying supporter of Coinbase in a broader picture? Who would the US prefer to own the Western world in crypto? Coinbase. So it's kind of like, I think it's also geopolitical. And so that's one of the reasons I don't think Binance would likely go under, because I think it has a lot of reasons why the Chinese state and others would want it to operate. So I observe the space, kind of try and step back from it, because too many people get too involved with what they like because they like it and they're part of that thing. But I just observe Solana, and I think I've mentioned it in the show before, is like, I see Tolly as a thought leader. He's accepting of others around him. He builds bridges, doesn't destroy them. I see a very engaged developer community, and people are really, really passionate about building their ecosystem and building their technology. So, and there's a lot of people who use it, and there's a lot of public awareness of the chain. So why Visa using Solana? It's because it's fast. You know, it's fast. It does a good job. It's not Ethereum. It's different to Ethereum. And even the way that Tolly has been talking about, you know, could Sol be a layer 2 on ETH? Or, you know, how do these worlds integrate? Just shows that, you know, for Visa to make a wrong decision is not that easy, because things can be bridged, things can be interoperable, life can move on. So, you know, I've just been observing that, and that this Solana space has not put a foot wrong for a long time now, just when everybody had maximum fear and hate over the space. Now, also, you're getting rid of the FTX overhang. You know, the thing that people didn't like is that FTX was such a big owner of, well, that goes as well. So for me, it's still a great story. It's still probably the best major story in the space outside of Ethereum, because Ethereum's the big daddy. But if we're looking at the next stage down, you know, where's the next altcoin that has relative security in it? You know, you're not taking a wild guess. You're not saying, yeah, helium's going to go up 1,000x. You might be right, might be wrong. But Solana, if the space grows, will Solana do well? Probably. It's a smaller chain, so $100 of capital in Solana will move the price more than $100 of capital in ETH versus $100 of capital. So its liquidity drives it higher, and the higher it goes up, obviously, the more people are interested in the chain as well. So it feels the right thing.